Testing is the #1 principle in marketing. If you don't know how to test with TikTok ads, you're destined to fail and you're going to burn through bucket loads of money in the process. If you're new here, my name's Mark. I run a TikTok advertising agency and we help e-commerce brands set up and scale their TikTok ads for maximum profit. Today we're going to be breaking down our proven testing strategy so that you can find out exactly what ads are working, what audiences and targeting are working best for your brand, and so that you can consistently scale your ad account with solid returns. The first thing you need to understand is why is testing so important? When you're running ads on Facebook, you can test new creatives, find a winning ad, and then start to scale that up over a period of a couple of weeks or maybe even a couple of months. But TikTok doesn't work like that. On TikTok, you have about a 2-week window to scale up your ads before they crash and burn without warning. Ad fatigue is much higher on TikTok than it is on other platforms, and for that reason, you need to constantly be testing with new creatives and audiences and other variables. Don't ever relax when you find a winning ad because it won't last forever. As a marketer, your job is to test everything, always looking for that next improvement, wringing every bit of efficiency from the ad account possible. So let's jump in and have a look at a couple of different things that you can test inside your ad account. The first thing that I would recommend testing is creatives. Creatives are the biggest factor that's going to decide your success on TikTok. Yes, it's important to test other variables, but really the thing that's going to drive results for you and the thing that you're going to see the biggest difference from is different videos and different creatives. Make sure you're testing different angles and different pain points to see what's really resonating with your audience. 90% of the testing that you do on TikTok should revolve around the creatives that you're running. You can also test audiences and targeting, so the types of demographics you're going after, maybe different interests. You can also build out lookalike audiences, so once you've got some more data through your account, you can start to build audiences based on the people that have already been interacting with you. This is probably the second biggest variable you can test on TikTok, but again, it's not going to drive as much impact as testing creatives. You can test optimizing for different events, so maybe you're testing one campaign where you're driving for conversions. You can try a campaign where you're running for video views. 9 times out of 10, if you're running an e-commerce brand, you want to be optimizing for conversions and for complete payment. At the end of the day, we want people to buy our products, and that's what we need to be optimizing for. But in saying that, some of these other optimization events do have a place. For example, running a video views campaign to build up your audiences, which you can then retarget later. But for the most part, as an e-commerce brand, you want to be optimizing for conversions and complete payment. You can test different captions, so if you find a good winning creative, you can play around with the captions on the actual video itself to see if you can extend the lifespan of that creative. And again, you can test with sounds for the same idea. So if you find a creative that performs really well, is crushing it inside the ad account, take that same creative and play around with it. Mix up the captions, use different sounds, because we've seen inside the ad accounts as well, one creative with 2 different sounds, it's the exact same video, but you change the sound and the performance of the creative changes drastically. If you think about how important music is to humans, it generates emotions within us, and as advertisers, that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a certain emotion that builds that desire and makes the viewer come and purchase our product. So the sounds and the music that you use in your creatives are hugely important. And another test you can do, you can test ACO versus non-ACO. So this is similar to Facebook's dynamic creative testing. This is where you just feed the algorithm with lots of different creatives and let it do the testing for you. 9 times out of 10, we like to just do the testing ourselves and keep that control, but if you've got lots of different creatives that you like to test quickly, then this is another option that you can play around with. Now, when it comes to testing with TikTok ads, there's one thing to keep in mind. There is no one-size-fits-all rule for testing TikTok ads. This is one of many frameworks that you can use to test with your TikTok ad account. When I first got into media buying a couple of years ago and running on Facebook ads, I went through the process of I was going through different courses, I was watching loads of different YouTube videos online because I was trying to learn how to run ads. And I felt like I needed to perfect it before I jumped in and started charging people money to run their ads or to jump into live ad accounts. I felt like I needed to research everything. I needed a step-by-step playbook that I could follow to really make sure that I knew what I was doing. And that's where I went wrong, because I was watching all these different creators doing different courses and everyone had their own way of doing it. And all it meant was that at the end of this, I was more confused because it seemed like there was no right way to go about it. I was looking for a formula that I could just plug in, go through step by step, and it was the right way to do it and it would just work every single time. And the more I consumed, the more frameworks I learned, the more formulas I learned, and I didn't know which one to pick. So this is my warning to you. If you're watching other videos out there, if you're going through different courses, people might do this in a different way, and that's okay. There are multiple ways to go about this process, and as long as you just find one that works for you, stick to it, play around with it, and find a solution that you can run through and that makes sense for you as well, then that's the main thing. Don't get bogged down watching loads of different content, trying to find the one perfect way to run TikTok ads, because it doesn't exist. Just get started and learn along the way. So in saying that, here's the framework that we use, that you can use as well, that we found to work for testing TikTok ads. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through a live client campaign we've got going on at the moment. This is a brand we've been working with for just over a month now. So we started off set up the prospecting campaign to get the ball rolling. You can see there we spent $25,000 in the last 30 days. We're operating below their target CPA, which is a really good place to be. We've found some really good creatives in there. So we're going to start scaling that campaign up. And now what we want to do is we want to launch a separate campaign where we can do some creative testing, throw in new creatives, play around with it and try and find some more winners that we can add into this campaign. Now, like I said, I'm going to run through an example for creative testing because 90% of the things that you test on TikTok should be creatives. It should be the first thing that you start testing, and it's the thing that you should be testing most often. So I'm going to run you through how we set up a creative testing campaign here. So just click create to start a new campaign, which will take you to this screen here. So we want to be optimizing for conversions. Like I said, if you're running an e-commerce brand, the majority of the time you're going to be optimizing for conversions because we want people to buy. That's the thing we're trying to get out of this, and you want to optimize accordingly. So we're going to set that to conversions. Campaign name, just make sure it fits with your naming structure. We'll just call this creative testing for now. Campaign budget optimization, we're going to leave that off because we'll set the budget on an ad set level, set at the ad group. And for budget, we're going to start this off at $150 a day. Now, for the budget for creative testing, anywhere between $50 to $200 is a good place to be, depending on your typical average cost per acquisition, and how much you're able to commit to ad budget. But that tends to be a good place to start, is between $50 to $200 a day. It should be enough to get you some good data through, see exactly what's working, and then from there you can get the data, find the winners and move them into your scaling campaign. So yeah, that's kind of the budget that we normally recommend for running a for running a testing campaign. But like I said, it kind of comes down to your business and your brand and what you can allocate towards testing. So click continue. And this is where we build out the ad group. Now for the ad group, we're going to be running this to a website. Just select the TikTok pixel, and for optimization event we want to be running this for complete payment. The reason we're optimizing for complete payment is because realistically we want to be testing apples for apples. So when we move this into the scaling campaign, we're going to be scaling up, we're going to be optimizing for complete payment, we're going to be optimizing for conversions. So in this testing campaign, we want to be optimizing for the same thing, so that we know if it performs in here, optimizing for complete payment, likelihood is it'll perform in the scaling campaign with the same optimizations. Now you might not exit the learning phase in here, you might not get those 50 conversions a week, which ideally you really want for maximum performance, but the goal isn't really to scale up this campaign. That's not the priority here. It might take off, which great if it does, but really all we're trying to find out is, does this ad perform well? Do the metrics look good? And does it convert, so that we can then put it into the scaling campaign, which is where we're really trying to get maximum performance out of it. So don't worry too much about getting out the learning phase here or optimizing for lower objectives. We're just optimize for what you want to scale with and go from there. Placements, we're just going to make sure we're running on TikTok, so run it there. Leave SEO alone at the moment, and then for your targeting in here, what you want to do is you want to run with your best performing audience. Whatever audience has been working for you in your other campaign, you want to bring that in here exactly. So the same ages, maybe it's an interest, whatever it is that's been working for you in your other campaign, you want to run it exactly the same here. The only thing we're looking to test here is creatives. And to do that, we want to isolate as many of these other variables as possible. So we're just going to run the exact same targeting that we've found to work in our other campaigns. For us, it was broad, so I'm just going to leave that as broad here. But if it was an interest audience that was working best for you, then maybe you would stack these interests, and just whatever audience has been doing, make sure it's exactly the same in here. Again, we're just going to set our budget here, so $150. If you're setting up this campaign after midday, then what you want to do is just schedule it to go live for pretty much the start of the next day. So just a little bit after midnight the next day. Doesn't really matter when. I normally just set it to 30 minutes past midnight, and that just makes sure that TikTok doesn't blow through your budget over the next couple of hours before the end of the day. Again, keep the bidding optimization the same that's been the best performing in your other campaigns. So for us, it's always been value optimization here, so I'm going to leave it as that, and that takes us into the ad creative section. So just give your ad a name, just call it CR1, single video, and then this is where you upload your creative. So just come here and click upload. Select the video that you would like to put in. And there we go, we've got our creative in there. So just add in your text. So just put in copy in here, whatever you want your caption to be. We've found that yes, you can test different captions and different copy, but typically we just find one that does pretty well and we just run that because, like I said, most of our attention in testing is going into creatives. Once you've really started to optimize your campaigns and you've got a good bank of winning videos, then you can start playing around with things like captions and some of these other variables. But where you're getting started, just really focus on finding some good videos first. And here you would just put in your URL. Make sure if you're using UTMs, you've got them set up properly with the right names for the different creatives. And that's us built out our first ad. Now, to test more creatives, what you want to do is just come over here to the right hand side and just click duplicate. And then from there, you can just come in here, keep everything else the same, and just change the creative. So click this update button from computer or from library. I'll just choose one from the library from just now to show you. Just like this one. So there we go. Now we've got two different ads. Everything's the same except the video. So we've got two different ads in here, change the video around, and we just want to repeat this for however many videos we want to test. Typically I'd recommend 4 to 5 creatives per ad group. Really kind of depends on your budget. If you're testing with a higher budget, you can get away with a couple more creatives in there, but if you're within the sort of $50 to $200 range, I would stick to around 4 to 5 creatives. So you've set up your testing campaign, you've built out an ad group that uses the exact same audience and targeting that's been performing for you already. And you've now got 4 different ads in there that are running different creatives that you can launch, get some really good data on, and if any of these ads perform well, then you can scale them up a little bit in here, but the focus is to take these winning ads, feed them into your scaling campaign, and really boost the performance in there as well. So you want to be doing this as often as you possibly can. With TikTok ads, it really is a testing game. Try to be testing as many new creatives as you can a week. We're aiming to test 5-ish new creatives a week. Every couple of days, we're trying out new things, testing different variables, just trying to get as much performance out of the ad account as possible. So this is really the step of how you succeed with TikTok ads. It's really just a game of testing, trying out lots of different things. There's really not much to it. You know, it is just a case of build a campaign, set up an ad group, and just try lots of different things and use the insight and the data that you learn through your testing to come up with new creatives in the future. That's the secret to scaling on any platform really, but especially on TikTok. If you've got any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, tune in for more content on scaling up your e-commerce brand using TikTok ads.